exactly. They needed to make a living.
Yeah.
But Bowie Kuhn felt that it was bad for the image of baseball. Well, yeah, maybe it was, but as you said, they had to make a living. They had the right here in America to earn a living.
Right.
And this was a way to earn a living for both of them.
Well,
to his credit, Peter Ueberroth, one of the first things he did when he became commissioner was to reinstate both Mays and Mantle, and that was a brilliant public relations move on his part to get them back into the good graces of Major League Baseball.
My thing about Mays and Mantle was that, if I'm not mistaken, some of the owners at the time were horse racing breeders, and that's gambling too. So I never understood.
It's a joke.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they
very
have
subjective.
these fantasy baseball sites called what is it, FanDuel and
DraftKings.
And right, and those are essentially they're betting sites, and they're embraced by Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bet on a game like Pete Rose did, or many games, you're out of the game. You're out of baseball. That's crazy.
Yeah. Not only are they embraced by Major League Baseball, they're one of the sites is actually owned by a couple of NFL owners.
They're partners.
Yeah.
I know.
So, I mean, talk about hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's hypocritical.
We're talking with Hal Bock. He is the author of Banned, Baseball's Blacklist of All-Stars and Also-Rans, published by Diversion Books. And, Tim, you got a question?
Hal, I wanted to throw a couple of names at you, actually, because I wanted to get some opinions. You talked before about the Black Sox, and obviously Shoeless Joe Jackson was one of the players who was suspended, and over the years he's very much been romanticized in films. With the series that he had, and I'm going to ask you a two-part question, actually. But number one, do you think that Jackson was actually involved in fixing that World Series? And also the second part is kind of totally separate. But with Pete Rose, his case was that he denied for so many years that he had bet on baseball. And I'm just kind of wondering what you think the penalty for each one of those guys should have been.
Okay, we'll start with Shoeless Joe, who just celebrated a birthday yesterday. His 130th birthday was yesterday.
Wow.
How do I know these things?
Because you're a legend, that's why.
I guess, I don't know. Anyway, Shoeless Joe was an illiterate. He couldn't write his name. Couldn't read and couldn't write. He could hit, that we know. But he was very loyal to his teammates. He loved his teammates. And they're going to have this meeting. And sure, do you want to come into the meeting? Sure, I'll go into the meeting. And he met with the gamblers. And the teammates said, we're going to do this. And Shoeless Joe said, okay, sure, I'll do it too. But he didn't fix any games. He was the leading hitter in the World Series that year.
I remember he batted over 300 in the series. I don't remember the exact number, but
all he did was be a pal to his teammates. He loved his teammates, and he wasn't going to go against them. When he found out that that there was a fix-in, he tried to go to Comiskey, the owner of the team, Chuck Comiskey, and confess of what was going on. And Comiskey wouldn't see him, because in those days, owners and players were not on the best of terms. So Comiskey refused to see Shoeless Joe Jackson, and so Shoeless Joe went about his business. But to ban him from baseball for life it's ridiculous in my view. Somebody suggested the other day that maybe one way to deal with the bans of both Rose and by the way, Rose lied to me about betting many times.
Well, he lied to me too, so
sooner or later,
I'm in good company.
And there you go. So the thing about Rose and Shoeless Joe, they've served their time. I mean, Pete Rose has been suspended for baseball since 1989. This is 2017. There are murderers who go to jail and get paroled in less time than Pete Rose has been in purgatory. So what about bringing them back? Well, baseball says, no way, we're not bringing them back. Well, here's a suggestion. Put their names on the All-Star ballot and let the fans decide whether these guys belong in the Hall of Fame or not. I think that both of them would get in with a fan vote because I think fans in a lot of ways are more straight-thinking than what the great sports writer Dick Young called the lords of baseball.
Wow, someone called Dick Young the Great Dick Young.
Well,
He was.
I know he was, but he was an ornery.
I was going to use the same word, actually. He was an ordinary guy.
That's actually a great idea for other, not just those two, because they've been suspended from baseball, but for other people who like on the borderline. Let them get a fan vote in there and do it through the All-Star ballot. That'd be a great idea.
Yeah, kind of just a yes or no.
Yeah,
should so and so be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Hal, what about A-Rod? Do you think he deserved the whole season for the suspension? He just kept lying too, though.
He did. Yeah, the short answer to your question is yes, I do. When I voted for the Hall of Fame, one of my standards was if you did drugs, if you were on that list, then you were not on my list. You were not on my list of players that I voted for because you violated rules of the game. So is Alex Rodriguez a Hall of Famer? Certainly his numbers are. 600, more than 600 home runs and all of the accomplishments that he had. But he did it on drugs, or at least part of it on drugs.
Right.
And how can you tell me which home runs are legitimate and which are not? I can't separate them. Plus, he lied. He lied time and time again.
Over and over.
About using drugs. And ultimately admitted it, and ultimately was suspended for a year. In my view, that disqualifies him from the Hall of Fame. I put Barry Bonds in the same category. I put Roger Clemens in the same category. I put Mark McGwire in that category.
Rafael Palmeiro.
I have very high standards for the Hall of Fame. I think the Hall of Fame is a very special place, and it should be reserved for special people with special accomplishments. And 4,000 hits by Pete Rose is a special accomplishment.
Especially since he did it. Well, we assume the gambling didn't happen until after.
Right.
He retired from baseball.
But he was still a manager.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, he was a manager when he was caught. We assume he didn't do the gambling while he was a player. Nothing's ever come up. So.
I mean, I would almost rather that he did do it as a player. A manager has so much more control over the game.
Well, that's true.
Obviously, he's not going to be able to muff a play or do something like that to cause his team to lose, but every decision a manager makes has an impact on not only today's game but tomorrow's game as well. I mean, depending on how much he uses a bullpen, is he going to use a certain pitcher because he has to win today's game because he's got money on that game? I mean, it impacts every decision they make.
The manager has a great deal of control that a player doesn't necessarily have. Yeah, you said before a player can muff a play, and they did.
Yeah,
but. The manager is controlling every move. Which pitcher I bring in, do I bring in a pitcher, do I pinch hit, and so forth.
Exactly.
Are you in the Hall of Fame, by the way, Hal?
Should
My wife's Hall of Fame.
Well,
that's the only one I know of.
No, but I mean, you've done so many great things as a sports writer covering the game, and usually, eventually, that type of service is recognized.
Well, as I said, my wife considers me a Hall of Fame.
Well, that's the best.
That's nice.
That's the best.
That's
thing.
the best Hall of Fame to be in.
You're right.
It's better than being in the doghouse, though, Hal. Come on, let's talk about it.
We're talking with Hal Bock. He is the author of Banned, Baseball's Blacklist of All-Stars and Also-Rans, published by Diversion Books. So, Hal, you doing any signings or anything like that in the area?
No, not at the moment. I did some. There's a great bookstore down in Greenwich Village called Bergino's Baseball Clubhouse, and they host signings, and I did one down there about a month ago, which was very successful. I did one out at the Greens, which is an adult community out in Melville, but maybe a month ago. So I've been doing that, but we just hosted my granddaughter here for 10 days, and both my wife and I are recovering from that experience.
Well, that's good to hear. By the way, one more thing before we hang up with you. Today if you're a sports writer, you have to be more than a writer. You have to be, the guy on the radio. You have to be the guy on the TV. Were you ever a TV, radio guy along with being the sports writer?
No. The only thing I ever wanted to do as a kid growing up was to write about sports. I never wanted to be a broadcaster. I felt that there was a more permanence to the printed word. And that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I've done. So, no, the short answer to your question is no, I've never been a broadcaster.
Are you working on your next book, by the way?
No more books. My wife demands that I spend more time with her and on other projects. So no more books in the foreseeable future.
That's the problem with being in the Wife Hall of Fame. You have to keep earning that over and over.
That's right.
Well, I would love to see a compilation of some of your articles for the Associated Press. That'd be a fun thing to read, even if it was just a limited edition, so to speak.
Just the World Series and the Super Bowl games.
Yeah, that would
start
right there. That's
a week's worth of reading right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like a fun idea.
Hal, thanks for joining us. Hal's book is Banned, Baseball's Blacklist of All-Stars and Also-Rans. Hal Bock, thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
I
Hal.
appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Good stuff from Hal. Always wanted to be a writer.
I love Hal.
Hal's got
good stories.
Not a TV or radio guy.
Well,
which I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break right now. We're talking sports as we do every Monday from the Press Box. I'm Rob Leonard. That is award-winning sports writer Tim Leonard next to me. And yes, he is my brother. Smiling. Look at my brother. He's always smiling. We'll take a break. If you'd like to make a call, 516-572-7440.
Okay. Yo.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Check it out.
There has been a Twitter beef about a specific candy.
There's going to be a candy war?
Yeah.
We'll get so fat.
Oh,
I
would
love the sound of
definitely
this
go
already.
there.
Grab the pitchforks, let's go.
I'm going to make my pitchforks out of Twizzlers then.
Reese's. Now, everybody say it with me. Reese's.
Reese's.
No, it's Reese's.
So, you know how goose is geese? Well, why isn't moose meese?
I don't know.
I've been saying
It's
meese.
mooses.
Just like how Reese's is Reese.
I think it's like because it's a bird and that's a moose.
But still, Moose meese?
Merce.
Merce meese. Merce Hearst. I could be a rapper.
You could be a rapper. And you know what? You could be called DJ Reese's Pieces.
The Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings at 9. Yeah. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
Do you like video games, movies, comics, action figures, anything nerdy? Well, have I got a deal for you. Tune in to 90.3 WHPC. Should I do that again?
Just keep going. Just continue.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. for the only radio show that covers all things nerd culture with the two most fantastic hosts in all of the galaxy, Colton Murray and Justin Greenberg. This show is out of this world galaxy. Come on down. Tune in Mondays at 3 p.m. Hey, why did my music stop? I can't do this acting without my music.
The promo's over. Stop talking. Just play the stupid tagline.
Nerdvana, Mondays at 3 p.m.
Cut it and print it. I need an aspirin.
We're back here on 90.3 WHPC from the Press Box. Talking sports every Monday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. By the way, we have to mention that Bob Wolff, legendary. By the way, Tim, we're on Facebook. Just put this on Facebook just for a second, just to show the book that we just talked to Hal Bock about.
You should have been showing that.
Yeah, I should have.
Wow,
I didn't think of that because I was reading.
It's
from
all
it.
dark again.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Okay, whatever.
But that was
the
the
Prince
book.
of Darkness, whatever.
Yeah, that's I didn't want to say.
Anyway, legendary sportscaster Bob Wolff died on Sunday at the age of 96.
That's a good long life.
That is a great long life, and not many broadcasters go into the Guinness Book of World Records, spanning 8 decades.
Apparently, it was 9 now. I saw that was in the Post. So I don't know which is correct.
Well, 9.
Because his career was something like 77 years.
Yeah, 78 years.
78. All right. So it's always evolving.
Yeah, so he called every major game, well, not every major game, but he called every major sport at one time or another. He called Don Larson's Perfect Game in 56. He was the announcer for the Knicks.
When they won titles.
Yeah, when they won titles, 70 to 73. He was with Cal Ramsey at that time.
That's how far.
Did the Ranger.
That's how far he goes back. He covered the Knicks when they won titles.
Yeah, he did
so
Ranger
ago.
games too. You know, Marv Albert learned a lot from him. Just sort of just being there. He was at News 12 Long Island for many years. He did nightly sports there for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Wolff, a lot of people around here know him, especially younger people know him from News 12 Long Island.